Earth Debate, Uncut, and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Rod, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Yu Unimento, M Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Kenna Bear, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Comment section at all in terms of actually going into the comments and making comments on it. What they would do is address comments maybe on a video, you know what I mean, as a follow-up video and say, look, we notice that comments are saying this and that, and this is my stance on it, of whatever.
Okay. Yeah, just basically coming from a place where like you just, because I remember some guy like some gamer, right? He calls himself the Happy Council gamer, and I know there's other people do this too, right? When they have like top 10s and favorite lists, they say this is just my opinion, right? You're entitled to your opinion, and you know what I mean? They kind of approach it like that.
Yeah.
As to not
From
like
the
engage and like start a fight, so to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll check out your channel, man. I'll check out those videos. I haven't been online a lot these days. Like I told you, I've been working my butt off. Our economy this side is seriously crashing, but yeah, I'm keeping head up above water and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just obviously need to input a lot more myself. Anyway, my problems.
All right.
Oh, do you have a YouTube channel, Righteous?
Yeah. Righteous Force.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Check it out. What do you focus on anything specific?
Just God's word. And right now I decided to like focus on biblical cosmology a bit, just to get back into making videos and getting in, just stirring myself up. I thought, you know what? Talking about biblical cosmology might be interesting. And as I was doing this study, the Lord was like, hey, let's make this double as a teaching how to read God's word, how not to add what's not there.
Oh,
Right?
do you remember, I think it was like a few years ago, probably 2 years ago, we were reading the Bible together, I think, in Hebrew, and I was translating it. It was pretty fun.
Okay.
I was pretty sure you were there. Were you there?
I'm not sure.
No?
Where, on 247 or somewhere? Or talking?
Oh, I think on the old server, probably Nathan Oakley's old debate server.
Okay, well, I was part of that.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I'm thinking of starting like a Bible gathering, maybe like every Saturday, once a week. Just
That
Bible
sounds
study.
cool, man.
Everybody getting together.
Sign me up.
Can I get a mic
All
check?
right. Hello, Neil.
Hey, Neil.
Hey.
Hello. So today I'm going to pick up my vehicle. It's a 2001. I think it's a Chevy Suburban. Gas guzzling. It was given to me, so I don't know.
Right. Well, good luck with that.
But Neil, it might be too heavy to just pick up, so maybe just drive it
Look,
somewhere.
listen, that's funny. Listen, I'm thinking, all right, worst case scenario, it's not good. I'll just sell it. I'll sell it, and that'll give me the money I need to get another car. Because I'm almost at the point where I can get one. I just don't have enough money to put down yet. I'm still trying to get it together since I moved to Alabama. It's like freaking crazy. Trying to make a living on one freaking picking up orders and delivering orders and shopping for people. And run all day and maybe you'll make $200. It's most grueling work I've ever did. Not physically, but just constantly on the run. It sucks.
Hey, 10th.
Good. Mic check.
Hello.
Howdy.
Morning, 10th.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good, good. What do we got today? I know you got something.
Well, we got two. One's a short one, and the other one's about 20 minutes long. That'll probably go until tomorrow. First one is, I'm an astronomer response to flat earth theory. And then the second one is, what if the earth was actually flat? It's the kind of stuff you see on the internet.
Cool. Thanks.
Hey, have you checked the comments on those videos, Ted? It's funny to always check the comments because they're more in flat earth favor than I've ever seen before.
Yeah, I normally like to scroll down the comments just to see what people's responses are. After watching a lot of videos, and you pick up a constant to it. You've got the people who are thinking and asking questions, and then you got people who are just reciting what they've been taught.
I've cranked all the levels up on the show a little bit, so what I did today was listen to the show in the car, and comparatively to the adverts, or at least in the car it seemed, comparatively to the adverts, the show's quite quiet. So I think that's like really nitpicky. The overall level's fine, if a little quiet, but fine. But like I say, because there are adverts that pop in, and then if your volume's higher up because the show's a little bit quieter, it's going to annoy you if suddenly the advert blasts your ears out. So to combat that, I've turned the show level up. Now, on the old computer, when I got to this sort of stage, it would just cause distortion as soon as I got into the red on ABS, which I am. But we'll see. Hopefully today's show isn't all horribly distorted. We shall see.
Yeah, well, we make fun of you at times just because it's easy to, but being this precise on sound makes the end product great. And yeah, I've been either the YouTube or something in the car is like, you don't like that change in volume all of a sudden on you.
Well, it's not noticeable on the iPad, which is typically what I review the show on. It just wasn't that noticeable. But in the car, it certainly was.
Speaking of cars, I read it. I didn't read it fully. I just scanned it with my eyes. They're not going to put AM radios in electric cars anymore.
I didn't know they still had AM. Do they still have FM?
I think they might have FM, but for some reason, the AM signal, I guess, does something to the electric car. So I don't know. I didn't read it, but why would you not have it unless it was, detriment?
Phased out. If it's been phased out, AM radio, I think.
You're really quiet, flat earther with a gun.
Yeah, Nathan, I had this problem with my Yeti mic where my headphones through the Yeti mic would pass through input audio of the mic even when it was muted. I think it's a settings. I don't know how to fix it.
Okay, well, just so long as you're aware that you're quite quiet.
I thought you know how to fix it or some shit.
I can see if I can turn you up a smidge. Hopefully that's okay.
Did you see Brian's latest video?
I did. Very good it was too.
Yeah, just like the books say it. You rock the sextant so you can get the zenith position of the star, and that's perpendicular and 90, because you're not on dry land, you're on the rocking boat. So you establish the zenith of the luminary first, and then the co-altitude gives you your zenith on the rocking boat automatically. And he did a good job on it.
Yeah, I went under all of his commenters and said words to the effect of, shh, don't mention 90.
Yeah, I left them a private comment, but I'll go to the show and the YouTube channel, leave another comment there. That's so detrimental for them. Why do you rock the sextant?
I also got your message regarding me getting a mention on Metabunk.
Oh, yeah, did you see that?
Yeah, I read the section. It was like, because all light comes in parallel, you don't need a flat Earth. Here's my diagram of an equatorial plane at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth that I transpose the angles to, because all light is assumed to be parallel from a distant sun. On a flat Earth, they either would or wouldn't be parallel. Therefore, Earth isn't flat. You're like, this is really crappy. I wish they'd associated my name with a better debunking. I mean, it's good on one hand because it's garbage. It's a really rubbish debunking. It shows a flat plane at the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth.
Well, they have to use it. It's part of their reference point for everything. The reference point for everything is a flat plane. It doesn't matter if it's a terrestrial coordinate system or a celestial coordinate system or a galactic coordinate system. Doesn't matter. You need a flat plane.
Hey, Ken, I was losing my mind a little bit yesterday. I think I went on Flatzoids. And there was some guy in chat saying, I would be happy if they would just show me a picture of a sextant. And then he rattles off some fancy sextant that he owns. It's like, what's the difference? I said, that makes you all the more a fool. If you think because you own a sextant, you know how to use it, but you think you're doing it on a sphere, that makes you a fool.
Yeah, well, that's precisely why no one needs to own one or use one. All you got to do is read how they say they use it, and they need a flat plane to use it. Because it's an angle measuring device.
Exactly. It's like saying, you know, I shoot a gun from 100 yards. I'm hitting a target. The guy's like, well, can I see a picture of the gun? What's the difference? You think because you see a picture, that's going to make everything okay?
Oh, wait.
So you're saying if I don't show a picture, I don't know how to shoot the gun?
Go on, TBT.
You know what gets me in the... Yeah, it's me. You know what gets me on those videos and all those documentation on using the sextant, etc., is like, can't those people see? I mean, they've been using it. Can't they see that they've never been to a center of a globe, number one? And number two is that they need to minus it off 90. Can't they realize that? Doesn't hit a... You know? For me, it would ring a bell.
No, they can't. There's a Penn and Teller... kids are screaming their heads off. There's a Penn and Teller illusion that they do at the start of one of their stage shows back in the late 90s. And what they did was they set up a two-way mirror which reflected like you were seeing through a box in the stage that was suspended 10 feet above the stage. And in between the two mirrors, Penn and Teller are standing. And everyone on the stage, the curtains are open, they're all looking at this, what from the audience point of view just looks like a hole, like a frame in the stage. And to camera, which is obviously up there with them, standing in between these two pieces of glass that are enormous, they explain to camera that if something doesn't compute, it doesn't register, or it doesn't fit with your world, then you just don't see it. And he says, watch. He puts his hand out, his whole arm, in fact, he puts his whole arm outside of the frame of these two-way mirrors and starts waving his hand back and forth to the audience. nobody sees it. Nobody. It's because it doesn't register. It doesn't compute. It doesn't function in your brain. Now, if you take that idea and meld it with the idea I was talking about with the guy the other day, that anthropomorphized flat Earth, that's an aspect, and the ground we're standing on, into the people and why they would think it. That's because, for him, comprehension of the concept of a flat Earth does not register. So for them, when they're looking to affirm their bias, and you ask, can't they see that they absolutely require a flat Earth to get an angle and are using it with a flat Earth and 90 degrees to the zenith? No, they can't see it. Yeah, they can see it, but it still doesn't register that that is a flat Earth. It simply doesn't compute.
Amazing. Ugh. I think somebody said once that the psychology behind this whole debate is the most interesting part, and I would agree.
100%.
That's because the only bit that has a debate is the aspect of the psychology and the people, because they're the people debating, but the subject matter isn't agree or disagree or debatable. It is actually measured, navigated, and built on flat. That's just a fact. There is no debate here.
Yeah, but you know something? Real quick. I was talking to somebody and they freely admit that, yeah, we get it from the center of the earth. They admitted that that's how they get their measurements. They said, how else are you going to do it? It's like a joke.
Let's look into what the caller just said. The psychology, say that again. What's the most interesting part?
Yeah.
Psychology within the debate is the most interesting part for me.
And can you break that down a little bit more for you? Like, what have you noticed? Like, if you have a person A versus a person B, the variance between the two.
Well, for me, in my personal experience, the other day I spoke to a colleague of mine and I showed him, right, how celestial navigation works, and that they presuppose this ball and then they go to the center of the earth, where nobody has done before. I gave him citations on the deepest borehole ever dug. I gave him citations about what a horizon is if you want to go to the size of the ball. But he just went back to, right, okay, but NASA is saying this. I can't believe all of them are lying. And I'm like, but I showed you how this thing actually works. People use it to navigate every day. That's how you get the stuff.
Right, you've got to listen. You've got to listen closely to what he said. Right, he said, "I cannot believe." Correct?
Yep.
Exactly.
Take it at face value.
I told him, well,
take it at face value.
Yeah, I told him that actually.
I was going to comment there
the
too,
difference
Nathan.
between you and me.
So he's. Well, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
go on.
Sorry, I think Tenth just wants to react. DALA. Go ahead, Tenth, and then if you can conclude.
Yeah. Well, you said something prior to the belief. You said NASA. So say what he said about NASA again.
He just can't believe that NASA and all the other space agencies would lie to him.
Okay, so this is a psychology that I like, because it's like, have you ever been lied to before? Was it after you got ripped off that you noticed the lie, or during the Ponzi scheme and you got out of it before having any kind of loss?
No, I've got such foresight. I saw during the Ponzi scheme, but continued anyway because I'm stupid. No, obviously, people don't notice the con while they're in the con. In fact, quite the reverse. They'll defend the con while they're in the con. Anyway, hold on, 10. Go ahead, DALA.
Just pronounce it Dala, if you can.
Dala, go ahead.
Thanks. Look, I told him that. I said, look, okay, so you're saying that what I'm giving you, which is the evidence of how things actually work in the real world, is not worth your belief. So I can't speak to you then further, because you have a belief, and until you actually research the information and realize that this is how things work in the actual real world, beyond your belief, then I think our conversation is over. That's how I ended it, at least. Are we still friends?
Well, I was going to
I do too.
Go on, John.
Go ahead, John. You got there first. Go ahead.
Well, believe this is an agree disagree category.
Yeah, that was what I
He
was going
can
to say.
not believe. Like, it doesn't matter whether he believes it or not. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It makes no difference.
Sure.
At which point, once you've established that you're dealing with somebody like that, that values their beliefs above all else, then you just have to accept that. I mean, the only thing I would have perhaps progressed with is to show him how, no, it's perfectly reasonable that you have a belief that you are standing on the surface of this model. But if I show you how the model was made, how you come to have a sphere surface to believe you're standing on, would you thank me for it? And if they say no, then you just move on. If they say yeah, okay, fine, you show me how the globe I think I'm standing on according to you came to pass, and then you show them how the grid system was developed with elevation angle measurements to Polaris, and then you go, that's how your globe came to be, by way of this grid system being developed from concentric circles transposed into a grid, wrapped around a sphere, projected back out onto a map. Now, that's quite complicated, but if you've got to the stage that you had with that person, as you described it, that would be potentially the question I'd ask. Well, would you like to know how your globe became a thing that we thought now we are standing on? If we, together believe that we are standing on a sphere, do you want to know how that was made? Because if you can understand how it was made by measuring a flat plane, then you can understand how they wrap that after making a grid onto a sphere and project it back out onto maps so that you can use the grid. Now that bit might cement a bit more realization of how their model is described to have been made, and therefore how they can't be standing on it because it's a model measured from a flat plane. But that's advanced heliocentrism. In other words, you've got to kind of, that's why I phrased it in such a way that I say, well, if we're believing we are standing on a ball, you kind of put your arm around them as an advanced heliocentrist in that context.
Well, I've been at it for years, so I just leave the breadcrumbs for them. I've realized that it's better that they come to the realization themselves. I give them the references and citations, and other than that, if they want to engage me, I will engage them. That's where I'm at the moment.
You know what I
That's
do
good.
too? I tell them, join the show. I said, listen, if you got this and you got 10th man over a barrel, I'd love to hear you come and do it live. Come on, it's an open bar.
Yeah, but not everybody does that. I like what he said. He says what he has to say. He checks the response, knows if he can go further or he's got to stop with the amount of breadcrumbs he's given them. And then you just have to wait, because what happens when the person leaves you, they are more honest with themselves in their quiet times than they are in the debate type of a one-on-one. They're not going to show you their weakness or show anything. So when he goes away, he knows that he didn't win anything or overcome any arguments, but those breadcrumbs are going to stick in his head. Now, if he's the kind of person that is critical thinking and going to check and want to find out if he's in the Ponzi scheme, have I been lied to, he'll do his own private research, or he won't do anything, which in this case doesn't matter. Why should you talk to someone who's not interested in his own future, to know if you're being lied to or not? So yeah, kudos to you. That's the way to do it.
Kudos indeed,
Can't
because
push a rope.
I don't do it at all. It's too much like shop talk. Obviously, this is my job, so doing it on a daily basis doesn't necessarily incentivize me to go out into the world and convert people. Like if you were selling something and you were selling it all day long, and you get home and somebody asks you about that particular thing, you kind of sigh and go, well, do I have to talk shop right now? That's kind of the attitude I take. But that's only because I've been doing it day in, day out for 7 years.
Well, I don't go out with a placard and stand on the corner. I just do what I do, whether it's golfing or hanging out or meeting people. And if a word is said, like orbits or planets or outer space or NASA, I will throw in something behind it, and I'll get a look, and I'll see if they bite. If they bite, we have a good one. If they don't bite, I don't push the rope. You can't push a rope.
No, most of the world are like the
They
guy
believe that.
Go on, John, sorry.
I was going to say, do people really believe true or false questions are debatable?
They do if they've got a fundamentalist belief about something, yeah. If you can't comprehend that something can work, i.e. you immediately go into cognitive dissonance, well, you're going to fight for whichever bias you're most connected to. In other words, something that is not agree-disagree becomes debatable in that set of circumstances because it doesn't comport with your reality. In other words, it's the same as the guy who's like, we go to our priests of consensus in the sciences and they tell us what the world is. Okay? So you've been told what the world is. Yes, and I know what the world is. Right. Well, how about I offer you an alternative view on how the world could be? Well, I can't do that. Therefore, whatever you say will become debatable if it doesn't comport with what I perceive reality to be. So yeah, in those circumstances, but that's all psychology. There's nothing to do with agree-disagree when it becomes debatable, when it isn't.
Right,
I really think it comes down to
hold on, JS back. We'll get to you in a sec. Go ahead, John.
If they believe that, then why don't they argue with their teachers on true or false questions and say it can be both?
I just explained that because, like the guy that we were dealing with the other day, is Johnny guy, right? I forgot his surname. Harris, I think he was. Johnny Harris is the guy that's saying, no, the authority tells me how the world is, and that is it, right? So why would they argue with an agree-disagree situation? Well, even if it's contradictory, if it's being told to them by an authority, it's correct. So that's why.
Exactly. That to my point that I was going to say, I really think it comes down to these people actually want to feel smart instead of actually being smart or knowing.
I can't remember which philosopher said that the more that they found out, the stupider they felt, the more ignorant they realised they were. I can't remember how the saying goes exactly, but yeah, I can totally relate to it. The more you look into stuff, the more you realise that what you thought you knew isn't necessarily correct. Therefore, the only conclusion after realising that you were wrong about an assumption or something that you've been taught is that you are actually more ignorant.
Well, you know,
Exactly.
they still look at us. Hold on, they still look at us as dumb flat earthers. I'm telling you, that's still their attitude towards us.
That's fine. Whatever.
I disagree. I disagree with that. Most of them understand that we know a lot more than them. It's just about them feeling that they're based upon feeling smart. So that's why their logical fallacies, they say what authority says. They feel better that way. They feel better with the public's opinion, and they really don't care about the facts. You could throw them all the facts you want. It doesn't really matter for them. But if everyone changes their mind, they'll change their mind right away. It's just about their feelings. So a lot of people like us that try to find out.
They still consider us. They still look down on us. I mean, it's changed. We've got the upper hand, but I still think look at these dumb flat earthers. I see it all the time in the comments.
No, but you're both right. You're both right because people are complex. There's certain groups of people that will do what the caller just said, and then certain groups do exactly what you just said, Neil. You can't put everyone in a box. Everyone is their own person within the reality of their mind of what people told them versus what they checked out.
That's very, very
themselves.
nice and very romantic tenth, but no, you can definitely stereotype people in certain different ways in terms of how you work at a fundamental level. There's a few things that you can fundamentally appreciate that will be unilaterally true across all humanity, right? Everybody is hardwired to not die. That is your primary instinct. Don't die. What's that? There's a bus coming my way. Better step back off the curb. Primary instinct, you do it without even thinking about it. That is what they use. All programming is based on fear. There's a couple of exceptions. Some use sex because your second and deep primary instinct is to reproduce. But moreover, on a minute-to-minute, second-to-second basis, you are hardwired to stop yourself from doing something that will end up in death. That is what they use when they program you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm at the basis. You're absolutely correct there. I would wrap up the need to be comfortable. is what they live their life by. If they're not comfortable, they'll complain. If they're comfortable, they won't complain. So that kind of wraps a lot of those things. But I'm talking about a different aspect of people when you break it down into smaller scales. You're right, because everybody feeds themselves, takes care of themselves, because they don't want to die. They have to eat, they have to drink. So, and then they use that against you. But I wasn't coming from that point of view. That lots of people from different lifestyles, backgrounds, it wasn't romantic. I've experienced people with different cultures and how they think. And so it's like, you get people to like you and trust you is number one if you want to communicate. And so you have to ask questions. Always ask questions. Like if I run into someone like his friend, I'd say, do you believe everything you hear from authority? Because he just threw in NASA, so that's an authority. So, and I want to see how he answers that. If he says yes, well, then I have no chance to even break through, because he's just going to believe in all the authority. And who am I? I'm just his friend. I'm not NASA. But if he says, no, I don't believe all authority, I say, well, how do you check him out to see if one is true, one is not true? What do you do? Well, I don't know. I don't do anything unless I'm interested in the subject. Then I might do some research. I said, great. And so now I've got some kind of a road to go with him. But if he doesn't go that far, why am I going to waste the knowledge I get from this show and the knowledge from my own studies on someone who's not interested?
Exactly. But that's it too, Tent. You hit it on the head there. They look to authority. So they'll look at NASA like they're the superior authority, and they don't know what science is. That's another thing. They say, all science proves. And they turn to us and they say, who are you? You're just some dumb flat earthers on a YouTube channel. So that's my stance. That's what they're going to take.
That's when you tell them have fun succumbing to your authority over your senses. You got somebody else telling you what's going on with your own senses? Really? You found out in a book how to use your senses, but you're going to disregard what your senses that tell you every day where you live, how you live?
They do that, chocolate.
I don't get that. Too. Chocolate's right. He's 100% right. Like, why are you choosing that over what your senses are telling you?
Because they've merged to consensus. No longer their own senses, it's consensus.
Chocolate.
That warm, comfy blanket.
During the live show, just one sec. During the live show, I'm going to be asking the audience by what means they want to utilize a campaign website, which is to say that in the past people have moaned at me that they don't want to use GoFundMe. And going on my most recent campaign, they've obviously stuck to their guns and not supported me via GoFundMe, which is fine, whatever. But in the meantime, my understanding is that you've got some financial difficulty, and my plan going forward, or our plan going forward, is to do a campaign, but just not on GoFundMe. So I just don't want this, when I start the live show, to take you by surprise if no one's actually mentioned this to you in the last 24 hours.
No.
Is that no? I'm shocked and shaken that you would be mentioning that you want to figure out which campaign platform you want to use. Or no, I haven't been reached out to.
No, I haven't heard. Yeah, I haven't heard any of this. No.
Okay. Well, yeah, Adam was chatting with us yesterday, and the conclusion we drew is that we want to run a GoFundMe campaign for you, just not with GoFundMe. So today, on this show, I'm just going to, like I say, establish with the audience what platform they would actually support when we do a campaign for you. And then the campaign will start sometime after that once we figure out which platform to use. But just don't want... This is the point before a live show starts where you can say, actually, I've got a severe objection to you helping me. I'm too proud, or something like that.
Wow, I'm actually kind of speechless. I didn't think... but I appreciate it.
That's all I need to hear. So, no, as long as there's no objection, that's all I need to hear.
Nathan, GoFundMe sucks. You're right. Stay away from that.
Yeah, people don't like GoFundMe. Fair enough.
I know, because Paula contacted me separately because she didn't want to use GoFundMe.
They could actually decide to not give you your funds depending on what you're giving funds for. So GoFundMe is kind of crazy with that.
What?
Quote unquote side, they could just decide to not allow the funding to go through.
Yes.
It's true. It's happened.
I didn't know. I was unaware of this until Paula contacted me on the side and said, I do not use GoFundMe. Give me a Zelle or something. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. But that was a struggle to raise money through GoFundMe. I hate GoFundMe. Pick something else.
I don't know if there's something wrong with my streaming software. Saying excellent connection, but it's not giving me a preview. Oh, it looks like you're ready. Go live. Okay, where's my preview? Oh, there it is. Oh, it's all good. All is well. Welcome, Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saiyan, Refracted Curvature, 10th Man Rising, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So I'm going to start off with the subject that we left off in the pre-show with, which is to say that recently I ran a GoFundMe campaign after twice previously saying I will change the platform I do my GoFundMe campaigns on. It's just a way of calling it. It's like a Hoover now, GoFundMe, whatever, like Kickstarter, a platform to raise money for whatever. And people have said, I don't want to use that platform. Use something else. And I've gone, yeah, I will. And then I've not. Now, that has been directly reflected in the campaign that I've just done, which has been terribly unsuccessful. Nevertheless, hopefully the problem will be resolved when I contact my amp guy, which I did today by text message, and he says it's only going to be the X amount to have your repaired amp back, and then I'll just go through the same cycle and probably end up doing another GoFundMe campaign in 6 months. Anyway, aside from my unsuccessful GoFundMe campaign, what we want to do is actually raise some money for Chocolate Saiyan, a panel member who has found himself in some financial difficulty. And as a very, very valued member of our team, we do want to help him get through that financial difficulty with a GoFundMe campaign. Just won't be with GoFundMe. Now, at this point, if it was with GoFundMe, I'd have just set one up yesterday. But we don't want to use it for obvious reasons just disclosed. What we do want to do is ask the audience, how would you feel the most comfortable, or which platform would you feel the most comfortable in using if we were to set up in the next 24 hours, which we will, a campaign to help Chocolate get out of some financial difficulty that he's inadvertently found himself in. Now, I looked at Go Donate, which is a UK-based donation site that looks exactly the same as GoFundMe to me. I just don't want to go straight into it and then have 25 people say, no, we don't want to support your campaign to help Chocolate out because you've used the wrong platform. So I'm hoping in the comment section and indeed in the live stream chat, if you can tell me what platform we should be setting this campaign up on, that is the platform that we'll use. So if everybody just says GoFundMe now, which will be shocking and definitely probably won't be the case, then that's what we'll use. Or if anybody says Go Donate, if you don't know, by the way, just say Go Donate, because that's the one I've just had a look at. And it seems okay to me. I just don't know anything about these platforms. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been using GoFundMe. Anyway, political reasoning aside from which platform you might want to use to raise funds, that is basically it. I just need to know which one. So if you've got a specific one, let me know. If there's no particular preference, let me know that GoDonate is quite happy and you'd send money via GoDonate if that's what we use. Anyway, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No,
Hold on.
but if you live on the globe, you're going to need a geometric horizon that's physical. And since it's optical and changes with the weather, obviously we don't live on a globe. It's an optical perspective issue, depending on the weather that day.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
The death of the globe right here and the birth of flat Earth, because you need to subtract from 90 degrees the altitude, which is the elevation of the star above the horizon. So if you can show me how you can have a 90-degree perpendicular on a curved surface from a curved surface, then we can start talking about the globe. But even they, in their books, say it's not coming from the surface. It's coming from the equatorial plane, the center of Earth. As the caller in the pre-show said, who's been down to the center of the Earth with a sextant lately?
I put this question to Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson many months ago, and he still has not given us an answer. So the smartest astrophysicist in the world, the most popular, he doesn't have an answer for this? Should be simple. If you want to
We have
go.
the answer. No, we have the answer. They get their 90 degree from a plane tangent, which they draw on the dingleberry arbitrarily.
I don't accept
know.
that.
I know, but they coincided with the one they actually use, which is the equatorial plane. Then no one's there.
My Stream Deck's updated and the buttons have changed. I've just realised I've got muscle memory from pressing certain buttons. So I pressed a sequence of buttons to bring up the chat, and the intro started. And I looked down, I'm like, oh, well, I have pressed the intro button. And then I realised that I've updated the Stream Deck and it's rearranged the buttons subtly, enough for my muscle memory to put an intro or 2-3 seconds of the intro over the top of you then, Neil. So my apologies when you listen back and go, bastard, you just put the intro over the top of me. Sorry, that was
that's
accidental.
Fine. I'll just repeat it all over again.
No,
Put
it's
the
okay.
question to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he hasn't answered us.
It was literally only 2 seconds. Don't worry about it. Today, we're going to be covering a couple of videos. We might get through one, we might get through two. Might be a double feature. You never know your luck. But as always, like with any response, were there to be a circumstance where somebody actually responded to our objections to their postulations in their video, I would hope that they would share their video link, my video link in their video, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm sharing this videographer's link so that you can go and let them know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because we've done a response video. Be nice, otherwise you'll just get your comment removed. But just in the nicest possible way, let this videographer know that we've done a response video to their claims about Flat Earth by saying Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, most importantly. And then hopefully one day, when if we ever get a response from any of these people to our top of the line, cutting edge responses to their claims, I would hope that they would put a link to my video. That's the main reason for me doing it. I'm just going to come right out with it and say it's purely for selfish motivation. But it will benefit them. Obviously, if you go and comment, it'll help them in the algorithm in the same way I would hope it helped me were they to respond and put my link in their video. Anyway, with that little waffle out of the way, this video is called An Astronomer Responds to Flat Earth Theory. Straight away off to a bad start. Theory comes after experiment. Anyway, this YouTuber is Insider Tech. So please, as I say, let them know. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hey, Arwin. Hey, Nathan, it's really good to be here. Oh, good to have you.
Hey, Nathan. Question.
Yes.
Did you not do a response to a response already? Did somebody respond to one of your videos yet?
The only person that's responded so far is somebody that I wouldn't classify as worthy of, going hooray or even checking. The person who told me was John, and he said, Dave McKeegan responded. I'm like, so what? It's like Simon Dan or Wolfie responding. Who cares?
Oh, okay. I was just wondering because I ran into that video showed up on my recommended list earlier this morning. I didn't listen to it, but I was just like, oh, we got a response. But I didn't even know because it's like a month old. So, okay, never mind.
Again, like I say, John ran past the vague details of what was in the video. I gave him my cursory response, but in that regard, no, it's not worth our time. I said it to QE the other day. It's like, I don't even count anti-flat earthers. It's like, what if I prove you wrong in your claim that's wrong and they're against the globe? You know, if anybody's got the slightest bit of discernment and they go to someone like Dave McKeegan or Simon Dan or Blue Marble Science, they're not punting globe rhetoric. They're punting something completely different. So it's like, who cares? You know, we want your big YouTubers that can punt normal globe rhetoric that aren't jaded into just trying to debunk anything a flat earther says, which is what those sorts of people are. They're against flat earth. They're not trying to promote globe rhetoric or look into the notions of flat earth at a surface level, which a lot of the bigger YouTubers that we do cover are doing. Now, don't get me wrong, we're just as interested in covering the high priests, regardless of their size. So there's been a few examples where we've covered people that aren't particularly big YouTubers, but in terms of their esteem or the esteem that they're held in, then they're worth responding to too. But anti-flat earthers, they're bottom of the pile. They're like as interesting to respond to as flat earthers. And we're just as likely to respond to flat earthers as we are anti-flat earthers. Anyway, I'm going to do a couple of quick shout-outs. Shout out to D Rose, thank you very much indeed. Flataholics Anonymous. Meet us in Discord with your citation for 18-mile measurement of space. Vastness. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat, D Rose. Really appreciate you heckling the live stream chat from the super chat. Really appreciate it. Godzilla. No. I mean, thank you for the super chat, Godzilla. Really appreciate the support. He's sent a super chat saying Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. No, in their comment section. But financially, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Unless you're reiterating that that's what you need to put as a comment when you go and let this person know precisely that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And hopefully they'll do the same in return. If anybody responds that's not a jaded anti-flat earther that just wants to go against globe and flat earth rhetoric just to prove the flat earther wrong. Anyway, his link's going by. Or she. I don't actually know if this is a female or male videographer. I've seen it.
I'm Dr. Stuart Clark. I'm an astronomer and I'm the author of The Unknown Universe. It's so clearly obvious that the world...
This straight off the bat. Perfect. This is the kind of thing we want to be responding to. 10th. Brilliant job.
...isn't flat. We see when ships leave the harbour, you can see as they gradually disappear below the horizon.
So, first claim of a globe Earth when stating that Earth isn't flat is that boats go below a physical geometric hill at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So if he's got a boat falling over an edge, that's his proof of a globe, or why Earth isn't flat, as his phraseology goes. So as boats gradually fall over the edge of an Earth curve, that's your proof. Well, that effect can be described with perspective. Things get smaller into the distance. Eventually they'll disappear completely. Isn't that amazing?
You can see if you go up onto a tall tower or a hill and you see more over the horizon.
Yeah, we debunked the horizon as being a physical geometric limitation to your view. So go and look at the Black Swan, where you say your view should be obscured and then is increased as you widen the angle to the deck going up a tree. Yeah, those can all be explained with perspective also. But I'm not going to. I don't need to. I'm not making a claim about it, so why would I? You're claiming that boats fall over a sphere edge. We debunked that. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to that geometric limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet would be measured at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And we've got imagery that shows it beyond the geometric limitations you say boats fall over, in the form of the Black Swan imagery. Therefore, Earth is not a sphere radius 3959 with a geometric horizon for boats to fall over. We've debunked that.
All our physics is constructed.
Physics of horizons. Right, so you're saying the horizon's physical. Physics. No, it isn't. It can be described with optics, because that's what you're doing when you look at things. But I'm not making a claim about the horizon in this regard, and I certainly am not claiming it's physical.
now. The physics of orbits actually.
Orbits of physics? No, it's a begging the question fallacy to assume that items fall around sphere shapes. That is to say that you assume Earth's a sphere and objects fall around it. There's no physics for orbits. It's a pure assumption. It's a begging the question fallacy.
Things going around.
Yeah, that's the begging the question bit. Yeah. Physics of orbits is you assuming things fall around. Yeah, exactly. That's not physics, that's assumption.
Earth is all constructed with three-dimensional spherical world.
Yeah. Constructed. You didn't make a damn thing. The model that you assume describes the world you're experiencing has been built upon assumptions of spheres. Yeah, exactly. Begging the question. There's no physics involved. Physics deals with the physical. If you're talking about science, that's physics. Now, physics, with natural science, the umbrella of which is the physical and natural world that we are definitely dealing with here on Flat Earth Debate, then you're talking about cause and effect reasoning based on suppositional, hypothesis-based experimentation. That's physics. In this genre, that's what physics would mean. Go ahead, whoever that is.
I was going to say, can things fall below surface level?
No, in their geometry and maths it does. When he says things are falling over a physical geometric horizon and the physics thereof, he's asserting that things fall over a horizon that is below surface level in their geometry, John.
Yeah, it's silly.
You gotta give them credit as to how beautiful of an okie doke it really is. How they juxtapose something physical and then just an optical phenomenon. The way they just hand it over, it's like that analogy you use of the suitcase. It's a beautiful okie doke, which is why it's on top of teaching us this crap when we're kids, is why it works so well.
Almost 100 people watching. Woohoo! Please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. As John just described, in the Begging the Question, Proof of Nothing, Perspective Hijacking Earth Curve Calculator, here is surface level. And here is the physical, claimed to be geometric hill edge at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, marked with an X and labelled horizon below surface level. So his assertion is boats fall over a hill below surface level. That is his assertion, and yes, indeed, John, it is very stupid.
And the pictures from space show our world as a globe. And yet somehow, there are some people that still seem to believe that the Earth is flat.
That's really all you've got to base your assertions on. Because after we debunk your physical geometric sphere edge for boats to fall over, the edge for the boats that you claimed they fall over, yeah, we debunked that edge below surface level quite some time ago. Nevertheless, the only further to that claim that's been debunked that you have is pictures from space, which any reasonable person would say, well, if you're going to assert that Earth's sphere-shaped, showing it as a sphere shape is a pretty cast-iron way of proving that. And I would agree. Were it not for the fact that the place the pictures are claimed to be taken from is not something that you frequent. It is a second law of thermodynamics violation vacuum that the gas pressure we are all breathing would disperse into, in line with entropic law, if it were real. It isn't. Ergo, you can't have pictures taken from a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum to prove Earth's a sphere. They're all fake, automatically. Go ahead, Chocolate.
I was just going to say he might want to go ask NASA about that, because even NASA puts out that they don't put out pictures. They put out images and composites and artist illustrations. Supposedly they've got only one photograph or two photographs. Well, if what they were doing was real, they'd have a lot more than that. What did you think?
So as human beings, we love stories because
Embedded confession. Yeah, stories about worlds that are sphere-shaped, the models that have come from flat Earth elevation angle measurements, the stories about them. Yeah, that's an embedded confession if ever I've heard one. Yeah, we love stories. Here we deal with physics. You've just appealed to it, and now you're telling us how much we love stories. Oh, don't get me wrong, I know he's going to project this onto flat earthers immediately.
Stories make sense of our lives, of our world. They endow it with meaning, and they can be understandable.
Meanwhile, we talk about geometry. That's Earth measurement. We talk about navigation. that's traveling on Earth, on the surface of Earth. Yeah, that's what we talk about. And we talk about it because that's what we're dealing with when we cover the subject of flat Earth.
Science is a way of
No, it's not. It's not constructing anything before he goes on to tell us what it constructs. Science is a method of establishing cause and effect by way of systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis to form theory. That's what science is.
constructing what we hope is...
No, it's got a sod all to do with hope and everything to do with an empirical method that gives you cause and effect reasoning if you perform the method. It's based on hypothesis that has an independent variable. That's your suppositional causal statement in the terms of something that you can physically vary and manipulate to see if it causes an effect you observed in nature. That would be your dependent variable. What I've just described is an alternate hypothesis. That would be if A, independent variable, then B, dependent variable. If confirmed, you have a validated alternative hypothesis, otherwise known as proof of the cause of an effect you observed excuse me, in nature. That's what you need if you've got science. It also has a null in the hypothesis, which is to say the antithesis of your prediction. If your suppositional value is varied, it won't cause the effect. Now, if you vary your suppositional value and it doesn't cause the effect, you have validated, that is to say, proven the null hypothesis. Hence, no matter what you do, if you perform the method, you have empiricism attached to it. It's not stories. It's empirical methodology to establish cause. This guy is a bullshitter, and he's about to tell you what science isn't. Now, if you look up, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, pseudoscience in any dictionary, do it now. Go to Google and type in the word pseudoscience, and it will tell you quite explicitly that pseudoscience is a claim of science that has not adhered to the scientific method. That's what this guy's about to detail, because he's told you it's science, and now he's launching into stories that won't have anything to do with cause and effect reasoning based on a hypothesis to be validated by way of systematic experimentation to form a theory. He's not talking about that. This is pseudoscience.
This is a true story, something that is demonstrably true.
What if you say it with a intonation that it's demonstrably, that means to demonstrate. Now, in scientific vernacular, demonstration is experimentation. To demonstrate that you vary A and it causes B is to experiment. Yeah? You've used the word like it's something demonstrable in terms of a story. You've not detailed independent variables, you've not detailed controls, you've not detailed experimentation or hypothesis construction, you've not detailed the observation of phenomena that is required to start this process. You've talked about stories, you're a bullshitter. This is Inside Tech. He's got 3.9 million subscribers and is undoubtedly classified as preferred content by YouTube. This bullshitter.
What?
Nathan, okay, go on, John.
I'm going to say that goes to my point earlier about true and false statements. He's not wanting to disagree with a true statement because it's not agree, disagree. He just doesn't understand how they're constructed.
His vocation is an astronomer. Do we not have a housekeeping question aimed at astronomy?
Yes, we do. Any single viable hypothesis as part of the scientific method from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics.
So this guy, all he has after he sees the phenomena of a star is stories, because he can't go into the scientific method to have an empirical result. So
Correct.
He's the one saying stories, but he's the one with the stories.
Yes. What he's actually doing is greasing the skids for his stories by telling you that stories are science. And if he puts enough intonation on the word demonstrable, he thinks that means that he can demonstrate his phenomena, light in the sky. Yeah? Okay. Therefore gravity, therefore black holes, therefore Big Bang. Those are all stories. But what you can show demonstrably that you can see a light in the sky. Wow. That's what he's calling science. Observe and declare. So he's going to say that science or experimentation is looking at things. That's what he's going to do. Let him know. So here's his link. Please let him know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent you. You know, hopefully YouTube will pay attention to the fact that I'm calling them out. This guy, with the number of subscribers he's got, is obviously considered preferred content when he talks about, as an astronomer, and what flat earth theory is. Number one, he doesn't know what theory is, and he's lying to his audience about what science is. Just bullshitting them. But YouTube will promote this. Now, me pointing out, fact, science has advanced humanity through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis, and he's just lied to you about what that is. I've got you to go and look up pseudoscience by definition as not adhering to that method that I've detailed quite concisely. He's just lying to you. But this is what YouTube will give you, yeah? This is the video that will get millions and millions of views and you will be directed to it. In the same way you'll be directed to Neil deGrasse Tyson as preferred content. Why? Well, they're all bullshitters. So YouTube just promote bullshitters, and they censor anybody who tells you what actual science is. That's us. We get shoved to the bottom of the lists. So let them know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because we can't get promoted within the algorithm. We don't get supported by YouTube. Far from it. The bullshitting, lying bastards that tell you that science is stories about what they see through a telescope, they will get millions of views and be considered preferred content. We will get a tramp stamp and told that we're liars. That's what happens in this world. Yeah? Well, meanwhile, science has actually advanced humanity if you follow the method of empiricism that I detailed. He, on the other hand, will not give you any of that. He'll just give you the stories he justified as being demonstrable. No, they're not. The stories that you attach to your observations are in no way demonstrable and can no way go through the method. They are, by definition, pseudoscience.
Through experiment. But as we see...
Notice he didn't define what an experiment was. An experiment is the actualization of a hypothesis, and a hypothesis establishes a suppositional value of cause against a phenomena that you observed in nature so that it can be varied in an experiment to see if it causes the effect. Variation of suppositional cause to see if it causes effect is an experiment. He hasn't detailed that.
Throughout the ages, the prevailing scientific theories of the day.
So straight from experiment, which he didn't detail, to theories. This theory comes after you validate a suppositional cause and effect relationship through experiment. Then you form a theory. He will offer you a story and call it a theory. Give him a bazillion views, YouTube. Make him preferred content.
Can be overturned as we move.
No, you can't. So if you've got a theory, it's going to be based on an empirical outcome. But his just so stories about distances to planets and stars, about orbital motion that will change and go from circular to elliptical, purely based on the church's desire to know when Easter is, those just so stories can be overturned at will. And because he's in a position to overturn them with a new just so story, he's going to tell you all about how science can be overturned, when I, the person being censored, will tell you that there's an empirical method that has advanced humanity. Science advances humanity. Your technology comes from the empirical outcomes of science.
Move to more precise understanding.
No, you don't get more precise than empirical, my friend. If you follow the method, you've got an empirical outcome to form your theory with. They don't get overturned, because it would be to say that something is validated as causing an effect suddenly doesn't cause it anymore, which is absurd, because that would validate your null and alternative, which violates the law of non-contradiction in the scientific method. That's what offers its empiricism. But according to you, they can be overturned because all you've got is stories. It's a bloody outrage.
Of the universe around us.
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Sorry, I was just going to say, but you're going to have to kind of give him a pass, right? Because the guy that we listened to last time, what was his name? Johnny? What was it that he said? All the knowledge that we have is based on things we haven't seen. So, I mean, they're on the same side. So what other choice does this guy have but to tell us stories about empirical data that he doesn't have? Because the other guy says we don't even have knowledge. We don't even see the things that we're talking about.
And generally speaking, those become more complicated. So there is a...
No, there's nothing in an empirical outcome that can become more complicated. A causes B if you validate it. It's really simple.
Tendency for people to reject that reality, the science of the day.
Embedded in the method of science, you reject the alternative if you validate the null, and you reject the null if you validate the alternative. That is the only point of rejection in the scientific method, and the rejection of a null means you have validated your alternative, A rejection of an alternative means you validated your null. In both instances, you have an empirical outcome that there is no arguing with. There's no debate, there's no discussion, there's no consensus. There is only the empiricism of the outcome. It won't be overturned. It won't become more complicated. This man is a bullshitter, stealing valor from an empirical method, that's science, by asserting his just-so stories after observation. That is all that is occurring here. As I say, this is what you get as preferred content on this platform. This is bolstered as being the preferred content. So the only way we get promotion here, telling the truth about what science is and isn't, look up pseudoscience as a definition and see if it comports to this man's non-adherence to the scientific method, making his claims pseudoscience. Me, I'm detailing what science really is, and it does advance humanity, so go and tell this guy Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And hopefully he'll return the favour should he ever make a response. Go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, he just said people like us reject the science of the day. When have we ever rejected true science?
You can't reject true science because true science is an empirical method where if you reject it, you are violating the law of non-contradiction. If you have an empirical outcome to a scientifically performed experiment, that is to say, it adhered to a methodology that had an empirical outcome, which would mean that it had a hypothesis constructed before it would take place, then you can only accept the outcome. Because A, the thing you think varied will cause the outcome you've observed in nature, the phenomena you were studying. If you vary it and it causes it, then it automatically cannot comport with the null hypothesis. Because in the null hypothesis, A doesn't cause B. It doesn't cause the phenomena. So if you vary A and it does cause the phenomena, it can't both cause the phenomena and simultaneously not cause the phenomena. That is the only outcome you can have from science. But these bullshitters need their just-so stories to have some reasonable justification for being changed when they're shown to be completely non-comporting with reality. So, science gets more complicated. Yeah, that's what he's going to tell you. He's just a bullshitter.
And just fall back on...
Sorry, go on, Chocolate.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he wants to talk about change, well, we can talk about a change that if you would like, when we got into this, what were we told? Science proves the globe. Okay, fast forward to 2023, what are we told now? Science doesn't prove anything.
Yeah,
Coming from the same people that did tell us that it used to prove a globe. So how's that for a change, buddy?
Yeah, we get told that it's fluid, that it changes, that it gets more complicated. All lies.
On comfortable myths, things that make them feel at home, things that make them...
Yeah, like the globe. The globe's an uncomfortable myth that makes people feel comfortable. This is pure projection.
Much happier that they know what's going on.
People feel happier when they think you have told them that they know what they know because of what you have done in science. That makes people feel comfortable. Even though you've not performed the method, you have just provided them stories and you've made that clear. That makes people feel happier. Doesn't prove the world is a sphere.
I've got to tell you, at this point, with the low background music and his tone, I feel like he's a psychologist more than an astronomer.
Preferred content.
Are you sitting?
Hypnotize you.
Are you sitting on the couch right now, Tim?
I am on the couch and I'm reclined. I'm about to fall asleep.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Is he a
Maybe
psychologist?
this obsession with flat Earth, the flat Earth is one of those. Or maybe they're just people...
But immediately he's turned it from flat, an aspect, and Earth, the ground we're standing on, to some sort of perception, hasn't he? He's halfway to anthropomorphizing it like the other guy did.
Just contrarian.
So we're just contrarian when we describe how you acquire an elevation angle measurement from a flat baseline. That's being contrarian. What are we contradicting exactly? I don't see how describing how Earth is measured and navigated is in any way contrarian. It isn't. Quick shout out to AI Jungi. Hopefully I've said that right. Who says, geometric horizon is an anagram for homoerotic zinger. Is that true? I bet it isn't. I'm not even going to bother checking. But very funny. I'm going to read that again. Geometric Horizon is an anagram for homoerotic zinger. Well, what do you know? You learn something new every day. Thank you very much indeed, AI Junkie, for the super chat. Hey, QE.
Hey.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I find so difficult to get my head around.
Maybe just look at geometry, Earth measurement. Maybe just look at how you acquire elevation angle measurements to Polaris to give you the grid system that the globe came from. Then you could wrap your head around it. You'd think you'd know this stuff as an astronomer. Go on.
Or maybe pay attention to your senses, because you're talking about being contrarian. Your senses aren't contrarian to anything about where we live, right? But you think that we live on a ball that's spinning around with water sticking to it. That's absolutely contrarian to our reality and our senses. So you might want to make a better use of your senses, buddy, instead of letting people in the textbook tell you how to use them.
I mean, I really do. My own pet theory is that they're just doing it.
So here we go. Your pet theory. So a moment ago he was talking about theory. So obviously these two things mean the same thing because he hasn't defined the word. So we can only assume that they're the same exact word because they are. But in this instance, he's going to give you his colloquial theory because in both contexts, there's no science for either. So when he gives you his, quote, pet theory, it's his best guess of the psychology of why people think the Earth is flat, when here on Flat Earth Debate we discuss how it's measured and how it's navigated and how the globe model was made using a flat Earth. That's what we talk about. But we're going to get this guy's pet theory.
It for comic effect, just to see how far they can push it.
Really? You think
wow, projection much?
How far you can push what? Your just so stories about the stars in the sky without basing them on systematic experimentation that has come from a hypothesis after observing those lights in the sky as a phenomena? No, you don't follow the scientific method. I'm not here for comedic effect. Now, while it's easy for you to just handwave our entire existence as just being here for comedic effect, when we're detailing how the globe was made using flat Earth elevation angle measurements to give you the grids on all of these different maps and models. They've all come from the same origin, which is a flat plane. It doesn't matter which one you throw up. It doesn't matter if you're using an azimuthal equidistant projection to say that... Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I've used their mathematics to turn my kitchen into a sphere, if they need any help in knowing how it works.
Can you plug the video for how you did that with the puppets?
Yeah, I'll go find it.
Perfect. So there is actually a video. John's not exactly a videographer, no offence, but he has actually gone out of his way to point this out in a video that's been dumbed down to the point where a child could understand it. How you can convert a flat plane to a sphere. Now, in terms of the grid system that's actually used in GPS and in maps and in navigation, that's all come from a flat plane. It ends up being used as a flat plane. It's a, is it Euclidean? I keep wanting to say Euclidean. It's not. It's Cartesian. I have to start getting that correct.
Cartesian.
My bad. I always say Euclidean and I'm just getting my terminologies incorrect. It's a Cartesian grid system that has been derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements. That's how your globe came to be. Is that amusing to you? Does that make you laugh? Because the origins of your globe belief are flat, my friend. I don't find that stuff amusing.
Nathan, you're pushing it too far. You're just seeing how far you can push it. And this is just too far, man. You can't remind Globers that their entire model is based off a flat plane. That's just too far, man.
Imagine for a moment that, the Earth was flat.
Imagine it. I can measure it and navigate it that way, as do all of the people who get on planes daily. They have a sextant as a backup. Why? Well, so they can measure the Earth flat in case they get lost. What about all these lines around the azimuthal equidistant projection that's been taken from a globe, that was taken from a grid that was developed from flat Earth elevation angle measurements starting at Polaris? That's how this grid came to be. Well, that's a flat Earth grid that you've wrapped around your globe. But you want us to now imagine the globe projection squashed out flat with the grid that came from a flat Earth in the first place to imagine a flat Earth. No, that's just because the low-cast flat Earthers take a globe projection, azimuthal equidistant in this example, North Pole centric, and say that it's the world we live on. Now, you know, other flat Earthers that obviously aren't us do reify globe projections into their world, but we don't do that. We understand how this model came to be made, but it doesn't make it our world. Go ahead, 10th.
Yeah, if you go to Master D, you can post a picture of the Alt-Az coordinate system, the horizontal coordinate system that the sextant uses. It's the X, Y, and Z Cartesian, as you can see.
Yeah, I've got that up now. Do you want to just talk us through it, as you have already in introduction?
Yeah, so if you're using a sextant, you're going to spot the luminary above the horizon. That's an elevation angle up from the horizon, all right? So angle measured from up from the horizon, and then the zenith angle is measured from the vertical. As you can see there's two verticals. There's the vertical of the star, or sun in this case, and at C, when the only reference point you have, because you don't have any land masses or lighthouses, all you have is a lighthouse in the sky, stars, sun, or moon. So you bring that down, and up from the horizon, as you waggle that sextant, you rock it to get the perpendicular relationship, which is the zenith, the 90 degree of that sun over the Earth. Then that gives you a right angle triangle. And whatever that degree is, now you can subtract from 90 to establish your zenith. As you can see there where the observer says up, that's the co-altitude. That is the zenith distance that matches the baseline, as well as the top area. If you put a line there, that'd be a box. So that is your zenith distance in nautical miles. Because in the sea, you're rocking in the boat, you don't know your zenith, so you establish the sun's zenith first. So that's a 90-degree box for the sun, and you have a 90-degree box. You can't have 90 degrees on a curved surface.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, how much thickness does it then have? These are the kind of questions you'd...
What? How much thickness? What? These are the kind of questions that you ask about a flat plane when you've reified a pizza pie into a sky vacuum. Why is it suddenly that we've got a sky vacuum around this pizza pie, and your question is how thick it is? My question would be, how would people breathe on this pizza pie? I mean, obviously, if there's high-pressure gas, which we know is definitely there, how would it exist if this is 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum, the black area that you think space is? I mean, you've superimposed all of your heliocentric beliefs onto this pizza pie that none of us claim here.
You'd have to ask. Okay, you've got an edge. Well, would things...
We've got an edge? What? Sorry, is it just me? Or 2 minutes 54, if somebody can remember that? He's just said we've got an edge, and yet at the beginning of his video, he was talking about boats falling over edges. He even put up pictures of horizons with boats in them and talked about boats falling over the edge of a sphere Earth below surface level. We pointed out that edge that he thought boats fell over was below surface level when he talked about them going over the horizon, a physical geometric limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height of feet in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. He made the assertion that boats fall over an edge, but now when he's got a reified pizza pie in a sky vacuum, he's telling us that boats will fall over a flat Earth edge. I don't know if anybody's making this assertion, my friend, but it's definitely part of your globe Earth mathematics to have boats falling over an edge.
Edge. Well, would things fall?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I posted that yesterday.
What did you post?
The video you asked for.
Right. To the audience, in the meantime, share the show. You got 15 more minutes to force Nathan to live stream longer. So hurry it up already.
That's the video that he turned his kitchen floor into a sphere.
Why? So we could
Yeah, I'm just queuing it up, guys. So yeah, okay. So this video, which is on screen now, this is from Refracted Curvature's channel. So you can probably see I've already given it a thumbs up. So I'm going to put a link to this video in the live stream chat now. So just go and check it out, because it's very worthwhile, even if you take the grain of salt that is the dumbing down in a humorous, childish way. The information is absolutely solid in this video. And it explains how you can take a flat Earth and turn it into a sphere. It's essentially talking you through the Haversine conversion, is it not, John?
Well, the Haversine hasn't been done yet to create the model. This is just creating a celestial sphere out of my kitchen.
Okay, gotcha. Should we have a listen to it or not? No, maybe I'll leave the audience to actually go and watch it, because then it'll encourage people to actually watch it, rather than me just playing it out here. It's a year old, man. It seems like yesterday you made this video. Okay, so go and check it out. Just like I say, I've put a link to it in the live stream chat. So if you can just go and smash it a like, leave a comment on John's video. That would be helping. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure in future when he puts out videos like this one, it'll be important enough for him to take his time to make it. Like anybody who's a non-videographer, you know, it's got to have some significance to be actually going through the effort of making it in the first place. Okay, so that's John's video. Go and check it out. As I say, I put a link in the live stream chat. Oops, wrong button. I'm going to have to move these buttons back to where my muscle memory says they are. Okay, so that will do for John's video. But we'll go back to this guy's videos. It's only got a couple of minutes left.
Well, how do you generate gravity to make the things fall? What is it that's actually causing...
What? How do you generate gravity and make the things fall? What about gas? What about helium balloons? As you're looking up, do you think there might be some clouds in that direction? Clown? Do you think there's clouds in the direction you're looking right now? Or are they falling with gravity that you've generated when gravity isn't a force? The bending of a, write this down, pseudo four-space dimension invented by Einstein. Now, when you bend pseudo four-space as a result of a description in mathematics of the uneven distribution of mass, it's not a force. And not everything falls. I've got news for you, buddy. That was outdated 108 years ago. 108 years, and you think things fall? What about things going up? Releases helium balloon. Watches a helium balloon satellite float by in the sky. Is that not falling at 9.8 meters per second as it traverses the clouds and all the gas? Do you think that we're moving around in puddles of gas? Or does the gas come out of the ground and go up? I'm pretty sure your outdated 108-year out-of-date nonsense about gravity is going to be very embarrassing when a highly censored flat earther, definitely not preferred content, points out that not all things go down.
Using the gravity to make things fall off the end.
Sorry, make things fall. Releases helium balloon, looks up at clouds. Gases aren't going down, go boom boom, 9.8 meters per second squared. Hello? Do you not experience clouds in your world?
A flat surface is fairly unstable to the other forces. It would be...
What forces? Gravity is not a force. End quote, George Musa, Scientific American. What about Professor Brian Cox? There isn't really...
Chocolate.
Oh my God.
Chocolate gets it. Chocolate saying...
How is the flat surface unstable?
Wait a minute. What, anybody that builds any type of structure or building, what do they do to the foundation of that building?
Level.
Before they do... Oh.
They level it.
So my man just said a flat surface is unstable? But sitting around on the outside of a ball, that's cool.
Saying it's unstable because of the other forces that are present. So when he presupposes that a non-force of gravity is pulling him down because everything goes down, you know, he's looking up at the clouds thinking everything goes down, therefore there's a force that isn't making everything go down, and that would make a flat earth in his imagination land of a pizza pie with a thickness in a sky vacuum Unstable. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, what I got from him is he's got the pizza pie, how thick it is, and gravity would make the water fall off the end of this pizza pie. Meanwhile, back in his little daydream, it's sticking to a ball.
With boats falling over the edge of it. You know, it's pure projection. He's got boats falling over his edge and everything falling down. It's just nuts.
Flexible and moved around. It's hard to even begin, actually, to talk about what a flat Earth would be like.
See? Well, why don't you go out and see how Earth's measured? Or how we build buildings on Earth? Or how we navigate Earth? Or how we made the globe model from a flat Earth? Maybe if you looked at any of those things, you wouldn't have to use your imagination to comprehend this. Very simple, on the cover of the book description of what the world would be. Flat, that's an aspect, and Earth, the ground you're standing on. But you've gone straight to the psychology and struggling to imagine it. Go to geometry. Go to Earth measurements. Go to basic principles.
Go outside much?
Yeah, don't need your imagination. What are you doing? You know, what you need to do is figure out how to measure Earth. But you're not doing that, are you? You find it difficult to comprehend because you immediately superimpose your heliocentric biases onto a pizza pie in a sky vacuum in violation of the second law of thermodynamics, exactly the same as your globe is in violation of the second law of thermodynamics when you put it into a sky vacuum, with gas pressure not being contained, not dispersing with entropic forces. Yeah? Those laws of nature that govern how gas will expand. Yeah, your pizza pie in a vacuum violated that just as much as your globe does. Yeah, but you can't imagine how the forces that you can't experience because they're not pulling everything down would work on an unstable pizza pie floating through space. None of it is in any way reconcilable with the actual flat, that's an aspect, Earth that we're standing on, because you haven't thought about that. It's beyond your comprehension, like we discussed in the pre-show. We're talking about why people can't comprehend it. Well, he's a poster child for it, like all of them are. Yeah, he's got to figure out how to imagine it so he can figure out ways of how his imagination of it wouldn't work.
As advanced heliocentrists that we are, he doesn't realize that his terrestrial map, which is the horizontal coordinate system, the section, uses the center of Earth, the plane, as where the vertex is. Then if you want to use the stars, he has to move to the right ascension declination, the EQ Mount telescope. And now that extension of the Earth equatorial plane is extended all the way to the celestial sphere. And the whole universe is flat to match the equinoctial, the equatorial plane. It's just one big disk. And none of the stars below that are able to be seen, only above that plane. So whether you're using the sky map method or the Earth method, you have to do it off of a plane. That's advanced heliocentrism. He doesn't even know his own model.
Because it's just so impossible.
Because it's measured and navigated and the models have come from it being flat, but therefore it's impossible. What a useless, rubbish explanation. Go on, John.
QE, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Point of order, Your Honor, with Kent, as we are advanced heliocentrists. No, I'm not French. You are an advanced heliocentrist, not we.
Say, well, I'm not French.
Okay, well,
sorry.
if I know.
Just 1 second. Did you not hear him say as an advanced heliocentrist?
Yes.
What does as mean?
It's a simile.
So does that mean he is an advanced heliocentrist, or as an advanced heliocentrist, he would then describe, as he did, an aspect of advanced heliocentrism?
Yeah, in the context, though, it wasn't used rhetorically. So, as we are advanced heliocentrists, as he said, so
Well,
he 10th is an advanced heliocentrist, not we. Just one.
Fine. If I know their model better than them, then I accept that.
All right, fair enough. We can move on.
So you're telling me you're a heliocentrist, 10th? Get out.
I know the model. I know their model, but I don't have a model.
Neither do they, so we're doing great.
Here's your cue, QE, to ask what model. You always love asking that question, right?
I wanted to get it out. I didn't want to be rude.
No, it's a perfectly reasonable objection. Every time I utter it to make it clear, I use a bit of proximity effect, get up to the mic and go, this is never going to happen. We're flat earthers. You know, I make it clear that it's a metaphorical example. But I kind of want to almost to annoy them into concession. Say, oh, I'm on your side. I just understand it better. You know the line, the most irritating line. I was like you once. Then I advanced. You can lay that on them if you go into the tone of advanced heliocentrist.
I just need a better phrase.
Well, I could say down to earth, but I'd have to say geocentric. So I'm a down to earth heliocentric. How's that?
Yeah, it's not going to work. You're going to have to come up with something else.
I would like to ask you a question about the model. If I use a transformative equation to change a flat Earth map, call that a model?
I didn't hear him.
You can call it a model, yeah. What's your point, John? Hold on, Chocolate. What's your point?
Well, if I use a transformative equation on the celestial sphere and then claim a model, is that therefore a model?
No.
Why not? Why not?
No. Define scientific model.
No. He didn't say scientific, did he?
Well, that's the context that we're in. What's next? Is he gonna post up a runway model? We good with that?
Well, if he uses a transformative equation for the blueprint / runway model to convert it to a sphere, would that not be reasonable to still suggest it's a spherical runway model?
Chocolate said yes. No, it's not a model. It's out of context. So we got to stick with the context. It must be a scientific model if we're talking about it in here today. Is he an astronomer?
Yes.
You'd never know it by listening to him.
I would agree.
We all know that they haven't presented the all-encompassing, absolutely beautiful working globe model, right? So when we say globe model, what we mean is what they have in their heads and what they present as a globe model. It's not actually a model.
Nathan, do you doth protest?
About what?
About this model.
I couldn't give a crap. I was just trying to keep the conversation going. Meanwhile, hopefully you will let us know in the comment section what a happy, supportable, acceptable fundraising platform will be. So if you're one of those people that said, please don't use GoFundMe again, and I am so sorry that I ignored you, and I should have taken your advice or listened, but we still need to go forward to actually set up a new campaign for chocolate, as mentioned at the beginning of the show. So I do actually want people to leave in the comments or in the live stream chat what they know to be a good fundraising platform to set up that campaign for chocolate, which will hopefully be done in the next few hours once we know what platform we're actually going to use, and then it'll hopefully for the first time actually get shouted out with a link being promoted to the audience on QE's show. So as we're live now and there is a Quantum Eraser show tonight, QE, can you plug that?
Hey, say that one more time.
Plug your show.
Oh yeah, Quantum Eraser. Be careful of the time today for our friends over across the pond, because I think it's 1 p.m. U.S. Central, 5 p.m. UK, if I'm not mistaken.
6.
Is it 6?
Usually 7. It will be 6 because you're ahead of us now.
There's something strange. 1 second. Go on.
They don't
Continue.
change their clocks till the end of March.
I understand that. Hold on a second. 1 p.m. U.S. Central, U.S.
Oh man, this is just like from the playbook of giving a good plug for your channel, man. The energy's there.
Hey, it's given me 5. I just typed this in. 1 p.m. Tuesday Central U.S. is 5 p.m. in London.
That sounds wrong. Sounds like it's off by an hour because you usually go live at 7 and it's an hour sooner, right?
Yes.
Right, so I'm going to say it's 6. But it's not. That won't be the first time these things are wrong.
Okay. All right, so let's do a proper plug. So today, 1 p.m. U.S. Central, 6 p.m. UK time, Quantum Eraser. We're going to have an open panel, and I need that link for the fundraising for chocolate.
Indeed, we can find out. We'll establish hopefully in the comments section, or if people will let us know via the live stream chat that's running now. How many people we got watching? 112 people watching. It's probably going to be the end of the live show in a couple of minutes. But yeah, it'd be good if you could just let us know in the comment section what is an acceptable fundraising platform, so we're not politically pissing anybody off with the one that we pick. So yeah, plus we want it to be successful. So yeah, that's a good reason to let us know one that you would actually support. So, you know, if you let us know, just say, I would support this particular platform. Although it shouldn't be about the bloody platform,
I can give
really.
one recommendation that I heard is pretty decent. I think it's called Give, Send, Go. I think that one actually, when I heard about the nonsense with GoFundMe, that's the alternative that I heard that's pretty good. Give, Send, Go. But I don't know. I've never used anything like this, so I don't know.
No, okay, that sounds good. I mean, that's another suggestion. There was the other one, I can't remember. Donate Me or something, the one I suggested earlier. There's a couple that have been put out there, so you know, hopefully there's enough for people to give us a suggestion at the very least. Cool. Okay, with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Thing that comes in your head. If that's the first thing that comes in your head, I'm running away from that title.
Never to you,
but when I first heard Nathan use that, I cracked up so much. I said, man, that's pretty good. I like it. I mean, we know their BS more than they do.
Right, but all you got to do is change the ism or ist to an ism, and everything's solved.
Yeah, we cover advanced heliocentrism, as opposed to we are advanced heliocentrists. And as you say, that every problem that gets resolved, nobody's going to. QE can't object to that. We're covering advanced heliocentrism, which is in many ways to a heliocentrist more objectionable, because we're not even professing to be advanced heliocentrists, but we are covering advanced heliocentrism because we know more about it than you do.
Are we going to be then, compared to how we called that other group, the anti-flat earthers, who don't have the globe rhetoric, are we now, by saying this, they're the opposite of anti-flat earthers to them?
Maybe. I don't know where we sit in that regard, but I just know that on the whole, we're looking more deeply into the origins of heliocentrism than your average heliocentrist. So that makes us advanced. What other word is there?
We like getting hung up on details.
That's a pretty big friggin' matzo ball hanging out there, though.
What's that?
Called advanced heliocentrist. As soon as you say that, that's what you are. I thought we already went over this.
He said change. He changed it to ism now. We made the correction.
That's fine. I like that one.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, not that it matters.
I only get pedantic when I'm chewed out for a while.
I mean, I can identify as a black, Jewish, Muslim, transgender heliocentrist. Does it matter?
Yeah,
I think
you're
the right way to say it would be not advanced heliocentrism. It's a heliocentrism expert.
Yeah, that's what we just agreed on 2 seconds ago. Owen's obviously stepped away.
What? No, that's not literally what you said.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't matter. Brian
Not
said it 2
verbatim.
weeks ago.
Brian covered that a week or two ago. He already said we should use that term. I don't
I'd go
care. I
change
really
all
don't
my
care
ads.
how people identify me or what I'm identified as or even how I identify myself. Because does it matter if I identify as Muslim when I'm telling you how Earth's measured flat? Does it matter if I identify as anything when I point that out?
You're not going to win this. Yes, it does matter. If you as Nathan Oakley go around and new people are coming in, and Nathan Oakley's an advanced heliocentrist. Yeah, just don't.
I
because
haven't, and I won't. But I still stand by the fact that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
I'm standing by the fact that it does.
the people that
mattered,
pay attention, we're saying that tongue in cheek.
Hold on one sec. You'd never be able to classify anybody as being a hostile witness if it really, truly mattered.
You're not going to win this.
If I
As an advanced
pull up
helios,
analogy after analogy, and it all boils down to just a simple word. I'm just talking about now. Everyone that's been watching your show for a long time, they're going to know what you mean. I'm talking about new people that are coming in, right? And they're passing along, and new people are coming on board, and you're an advanced heliocentrist. If they can fog a mirror, you got cross currents going on here. I'm just trying to save you.
Okay, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Agreed 100%.
I agree.
well, yeah, being a flat earther and a heliocentrist means that you would believe in the pizza pie model flying around the sun.
I want you, Will
I suppose so.
Keep that name out your mouth.
Neil's laying it down.
Like a hammer.
Well, the reason we could say we're heliocentrism experts is because we're actually geocentric.
Yes, but then you have to explain it.
Just so newcomers don't get confused. You know, somebody stumbles on the channel, and all of a sudden we're calling ourselves advanced heliocentrists. They're like, what the heck? I thought this was a flat Earth channel.
Yeah, that just requires them to listen for like 5 more minutes, because I'm sure we'll go to that up.
No,
That's a great point, Chocolate.
Good, right?
Good point, Chocolate. But yeah, it still stands. Kiwi's point is that if you describe yourself as a murderer, then that's going to sway people's influence in terms of what you talk about. Well, why bother tarnishing yourself with it? I've taken it to the extreme just to make Kiwi's point more valid.
This has gone so extreme, it's killing me.
Right.
Any actual heliocentrist in Discord who want to tell us how we are wrong about anything?
You're clutching at straws there, Chocolate. We're not.
Hey, well, I got it every once in a while, right?
There was somebody in my chat today in the early bird show that insisted that it was all ridiculous because the proof for the globe Earth was star trails in the south and tides. He really meant it.
Well, star trails prove
what year?
What year is
That's what
it?
I said, Chocolate. Like, are you like? Did you just wake up from a stasis chamber since 2016 or something?
As an advanced heliocentrism expert, star trails prove geocentrism, because knowing heliocentrism like we do, how many movements do we have to put into this star trails to have it? We have the Earth spinning at over 1,000 miles at the equator. We've got it going around the sun at over 66,000 miles an hour. We've got the solar system going at some hectic speeds of 500,000 or more. And then we got the Milky Way galaxy going close to 2 million or 1 million something. And then those are the movements that they tell us about in heliocentrism. And yet we see the same star trails year after year for thousands of years. And it's built on the celestial sphere model, which assumes a stationary Earth.
Yeah, but 10th man, thousands of years is just an insignificant blimp in the time span of the entire universe.
Yeah, but it hasn't changed for that blimp.
Just to give you an update, I've been hammering that Matthew Learns throttling that Nathan gave him for the past however long it's been. Every day I'm hammering it in Discord. And somebody wrote, PM me and said that Matthew is putting together a rebuttal video.
Better put a link.
Well, that's going to be good.
Was it going to be filled with nuh-uh?
Well, I don't know. He was in here, like I said, that Thursday before Nathan massacred him. He was actually on the show. Just
Wow.
to let you guys know, he was in here.
Like 2 or 3 days
YouTube.
before we pulled him apart, he was here. Wow.
Yeah. It was
Well, he's got a good
ironical.
name. He's got a good name. Maybe he learns something about it.
No, he doesn't learn.
Nah.
No.
Chooses to believe.
Well, they're not learning anything.
Well,
You got people coming in chat saying, "I'd love to just see 10th man section." In other words, claiming that we're talking about sections that we don't even own one. That's the folly.
I do own one. Everybody has.
Listen, I told him, and I said he's presented it on many times. And the guy says, show and link, please. Yeah, go screw yourself.
No, you don't have to be hostile. Everyone has the rudimentary version of it. It's a protractor.
Exactly. Who cares? That's a feeble argument you're bringing up. It's like I need to own a house to know where the refrigerator goes.
Exactly. I know. I used an illustration on him with a gun.
That's cooler that way.
There is literally nothing this Matthew guy will offer to prove a spherical Earth. The time has long passed. So the only value he offers to me is to offer up my link to my video to his audience of millions, presumably.
Well, any attention he gives to you is a help to your channel. Just by him mentioning your name would be great.
No. Just got up to make a coffee. I had to sit back down again. No. If he puts a link to my video, it will benefit me. If he mentions me by name, that won't benefit me. Who cares?
It just benefits you less.
I don't put links to the videos of the treatments that I give. Are you suggesting I do that?
Yes. If you've covered somebody's video, you should put the link to their video at the very minimum, so that whoever they are, they get the benefit of your work covering their work. So they've put the time and effort in, even if you're saying they're wrong, for you to have it on your channel to respond to it. The least you can do is refer back to it. It's like giving a reference.
Okay. I thought people usually do that thing not for the treatments or review, but on most review videos, they'll give a big enough view of the panel or whoever's talking that has the title right there. So I just take the title and type it in YouTube.
Sure, but most people won't. If you took my title for my video, if that was what they did for me, do you think it would find me? Fat chance. You could type in Flat Earth Debate 1155 and it won't take you to that debate. It just won't.
You sure about that?
Pretty sure. What did I say? 1155. Go to YouTube search, type in Flat Earth Debate 1155, see if it takes you there.
All right, hold on.
It depends on whether you've already been isolated by the algorithm. Go to someone else's computer and type it in and see what happens.
Right, that's also true.
That's who showed up. Cream of Wheat guy shows up twice. got Sabine showing up. But
There you go.
and I put it
There you go.
11:55.
Perfect. Thank you, Chocolate, on the fly. That was epic. But my point is that if you've got even if it did, most people won't cut the title of a video, paste it into a YouTube search, and then even go to the first result. That's 3 clicks. That's more than 3 clicks. A link to your video means that they click on that, and then there is the video. And if they go, I like this, the second click they might have to press is the like button. And if they go, oh, I'm going to subscribe to this, the third click's the subscribe button. Not cut, paste, search, go down through the list and find the video that does actually match the title. In my case, that'll never appear, which is the end of the road for me. Yeah, link. Absolutely. It's what it's required.
You know what? You're right. I just took the title of your show today. I can't believe it. It's not here.
Yeah, that's why I say in the video specifically, even if you type in my exact title, you will not find me. If I put a really clever clickbaity title, does that benefit me? No, of course not. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm saying I'm putting a link to your video and I'm going to be completely honest about it for the sole reason that I want you to reciprocate. You don't need my coverage to my audience, but when you get people saying Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, you can see that that's obviously helping them in the algorithm. That's what the algorithm wants, apparently. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. Well, fine. But what I want is it reciprocated. I want you to put a link to my video so your audience of many, many people who are being bullshitted to by your nonsense that I took apart can come to me.
All right. Fair enough.
This is disgusting. You put it in, and it's like all these clowns. In the wheat show, Vsauce, fight tight shirt, Bill Nye, smoke in the grass, all these clowns, but no actually this show, which is named Flat today. Hilarious.
You're on the border of roboting, Chocolate.
Oh, right.
Your point still stands, though.
So what kind of coordinate system is YouTube using when you put in Nathan at this latitude, Oakley at this longitude, and you get cream of wheat?
Which is funny because that's how I found this show years ago. I put in Flat Earth Debate and this popped up.
Oh, I thought you meant
first one.
I thought you meant you put in. I'm sorry. I thought you meant you put cream of wheat and you found it.
No, I haven't found that guy.
Well, let them know who cream of wheat is.
That's what we got to do. We're going to do cream of wheat. You find the Flat Earth Debates.
not Professor Dave.
Yeah, Professor Dave Farina, who's not a professor, but his last name is Farina, so I used a little artistic license, and now we call him cream of wheat.
Oh yeah, that's officially his name now. I'm not calling him anything else.
Well,
yeah, he's the one who confidently stated that the sun rises in the west and sets in the east in the southern hemisphere. Then laughed at everyone.
I remember that.
Awesome.
Well,
that was a good belly laugh, Arwen.
That's a good name because he has serial behavior.
So, can I ask you guys a question? Over the
all I got was on that one.
Yeah, my wife gets Netflix over the winter, or she has for 1 year, with a free subscription for a few months. So we strategically time it so it's nice and cheap, and we get it while it's cold and there's nothing to do. Anyway, she's been watching Stranger Things. Has anybody watched this?
Yeah.
Stranger Things
I know it.
has ripped off more films than any other thing I have ever encountered in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, it's ripped off.
Sure.
Aliens, Star Wars, Inception, Child's Play, Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger, Predator, what was the other one? The list goes on. I could go on and on and on. The list is endless.
What do you mean ripped off?
As in completely stolen plots and scenes.
Plots?
Yeah. completely. Hellraiser, that was another one. Keep going. Whenever I saw one, I thought must write this down. Well, by the time I got to about the 5th film that they'd ripped off, I was like, I must start writing this down as a list. But just off the top of my head, there's probably 10 I could name that it's ripped off.
Well, it's a Stephen King series, right?
I don't know whose
this
series.
Is what he does.
I don't know, but it's just non-stop.
All his films
rip-off.
are like that.
Oh, the Hannibal movies, what are they called? Silence of the Lambs, rip that off. They'll keep coming to me. It's just ripped off so much stuff, it's untrue.
Well, it is literally nostalgia theme. It is nostalgic 80s, so...
what's the other one?
What did you expect?
Perfect Dark.
How do they get away with it?
It's not getting away with it.
Everything.
Everything's ripped off everything else always, but it's just when it's so obvious and you can... The trick is to do it subtly, right? The trick is to recycle, because there's only so many stories you can tell. Literally, there's a finite amount of actual stories when you break them down to what each story that you watch at the theatre is. There's only so many of them. Anyway, that aside, the trick is to manipulate what is essentially a retelling of an old story into something slightly unique, as opposed to taking a concept like the facehuggers and just using it again. Taking a concept of, the chains in Hellbound or Hellraiser, and just using it again. Just do it again. They've just nicked all of these different aspects. I don't know, it's just nuts.
Well, that's what, to be funny though, or it's kind of funny to me because it is very much blatantly a D&D inspired movies or a series, right? It is they play D&D, it's part of the story.
Yes.
That's how they use the words, right? That to describe these supernatural things.
Sure.
So in D&D, as a game master, doing that is exactly what you need to do, right? You need to hit somebody's imagination. So what do? You reuse things from movies, other games, things that people will think are cool. So it is just, I don't see any problem. I love the series. I love it for doing that.
It was good. The first series was excellent. I thought it was very, very good. The second series, you could tell they'd rushed out off the popularity of the first. But then the third series, because my wife's watched them all back to back, as you do. I haven't paid 100% attention to them, I'll be honest. But the third series seemed to be really, really good as well. And now they've reached the point where they can start to take the piss out of themselves in terms of the plot, which is in the fourth series, which is typically the way things go if it's a good series. They can identify the humour in their own sort of silliness in the fourth series so far, which is good.
Since we're talking about movies...
No, I like the whole thing.
Owen.
He's just saying he liked it. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah.
Since you're talking about... The other day we were talking about sequels that weren't as good. We forgot T2. Terminator 2 was actually better than Terminator 1.
Oh, they ripped that off as well. They ripped off T2 as well. So they had the monsters from T2 forming together like the pools of liquid metal. They had that. They nicked that too. They've nicked from everything.
Yeah.
That's not right. I'm not liking the show already.
No, it is good. It's just that Nathan was paying particular attention to movie history and things that they've done. But if you don't do that, it's great.
That's all I could do.
To me, it's like it's these kids' imaginations, right? And it's gonna be these things.
Much to the annoyance of my wife.
Even as characters, they talk like the movies and shit. So it's only logical.
I'd be annoying my wife immensely then when I'd be like, well, this is just the plot of Aliens. This is just the plot of Terminator 2. This is just from Hellraiser. This is from Total Recall. What's going on?
Well, what, don't you like those good moments from those movies?
All of them, Arwin. I'm just saying. It's just...
Exactly. It's all recycled. Fairy tales are recycled. I mean, what do you want?
I like originality.
They had tried to spin it in originality. Like the chains in Hellraiser turned into organic, like, tentacle things. Like, slightly manga-esque tentacles. Okay, but the way they were used was just the same as it was used in Hellraiser. There's no other way to describe it.
But there's plenty of other movies that have done just the same, and then with roots, and they just use roots from evil animated trees, right? Even famous movies. What the hell is it called again? Army of the Damned, Army of Darkness, right? From that series, they did it with roots. I mean, movies do these sort of things all the time. It's not really important. It's much more important, like, how good are the characters in their role? Are they interesting?
Okay, I get that, but what
Are
I'm
they
trying to get...
name of this?
Then, then you remember that.
Thank you, but I'm just trying to get across that the fourth series has got more of a self-awareness of its almost parody, to the point where it's not plagiarism, because they're paying homage in most respects to the things that they're nodding to. But in the fourth series, they've got Lover's Lake, which is exactly the same as Camp Crystal Lake. It's just directly lifted from Friday the 13th. It couldn't be any more the same. And the instead of Camp Crystal, Lover's Lake, you're like, okay, so the only thing they've changed is the name. That's it.
What's the name of the series again?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, yeah.
So obviously it's caused a response in you, which is the very response they want, for you to go back to your long-term memory of all the movies it reminds you of. So that's the whole point of the show then.
Yes. I would say so, yeah. But it's good, it's good.
Well,
I just thought I'd mention it. I don't
Whenever
often
you
watch...
got a bunch of kids and they set it up in the 80s, it's always got that kind of Goonies feel, that Stand By Me feel. That's what I got from. I've only watched like a few episodes of the first season, but that's kind of what I got out of it.
It is that. It is that all the way, especially in the end. So.
Well, it's also predictive programming. So the overall theme is parallel universes. So while we talk about it in terms of how we're being bullshitted with things like quantum string theory and things of that nature, that's the softening up that it's offering to the public moving forward. That's what it's giving you. Parallel universes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just as
It's funny
propaganda.
because a lot of even the mainstream scientists are starting to turn against that. It's funny. There's a nice big fight going on in mainstream science, because a lot of these videos pop up, and every once in a while I watch them, and look, you got half the scientists, like people like Michio Kaku and Neil deGrasse. They're not really considered, like, by a lot of the other quote unquote theoretical physicists. They're kind of on the level of like just like, I don't know, they're like bottom level. Like, they don't get a lot of respect from like some of the mathematicians and physicists that are more mainstream. So it's kind of funny to find this fight, because like they want to toss away string theory and want to throw away Einstein. You got, like, they'll tell you that there are some scientists that just hold on to that for dear life, right? General relativity and all that, they're just holding on to it, even though they'll say there's no empiricism to that at all. But you got the ones that are holding on to it that say that there is. So it's like, in mainstream science, or quote unquote science, they're having a big fight between themselves. So it's funny when we have people who refer these things to us as, they're factual. It's like, is that you?
You're breaking up too much.
Got the story from?
You're about 70%, and now you're at about 50%. So we can't quite make out what you're saying in its entirety.
So what I hear Chocolate saying is, one day we'll see a video from one of these other ones, and they'll do a redub of Neil deGrasse Tyson dropping the microphone and saying gravity, and then what they'll have is the floor coming up instead of the microphone falling down to keep up with Einstein.
You mean Neil deGrasse Tyson, who was going to define, well, he did define space as rockets yesterday. That hasn't left me, by the way. I was thinking of different things during all day yesterday. What was one of them?
Say that again.
Rockets equal space.
You define space as rockets?
Yes.
Okay.
And then my comeback was define water, fish.
Well, see, that's one of the reasons why he's been thrown under the bus.
Define fish.
No.
Filet mignon.
Gills.
No, you missed the point there, Neil, I think. But that's okay.
Nathan, after the after show, I have that call arranged for us.
You what? After the after show, what?
No, there was a point.
After the after show, I have that call arranged for us with the potential author.
Oh, right. Yeah, cool. What time? How many? Give it me in minutes, not in.
Just as soon as you're done. I've already contacted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, with
Way
that,
to
I'll
say
say.
end the show, Nathan. Way to say end the show, Ken.
Yeah, I'm just letting him know so he doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
And with that.
That's always going to happen next. Yo, you pulled that on it. Yo, the other day you did a timey one, Nathan. I mean, you just started the after show and you were like, and with that.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and 2 Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.